I believe eliminating self-doubt. Coach Destiny DeHaven from Coaching with Destiny. Everyone doubts themselves. I'm sure you can think of many occasions when you second-guessed what you were doing or told yourself that there was no way you could do what you wish you could. In other words, self-doubt is a normal part of being human. What matters is how you respond to that little voice in your head that whispers, "It can't be done." You have two choices when it comes to responding to that voice. You can heed it, or you can go on and do something anyway. How you respond to self-doubt affects all areas of your life. It affects your personal life, your happiness, your relationships, work, finances, family, etc. That's why it's so important to learn more about self-doubt and how to respond to it. By taking control, we can shape our life the way we would like it to be. We'll start by talking about what exactly self-doubt is and what effect it can have on our lives. Next, we'll cover some of the reasons why we doubt ourselves in the first place. And finally, wrap it all up by figuring out how we can break out of this cycle of self-doubt. My hope is that you will find this helpful in learning more about self-doubt, recognizing when you're doubting yourself, and then finding a way for you to deal with it that helps you reach your goals, whatever they may be. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Coach Destiny DeHaven. I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. I've been coaching for 6 years and I have certificates in NLP, bank, and hypnotherapy. I was told that this is the spot where I needed to put something about my kids, my dog, or my cat, and I don't have any of those, so I decided to put in the fact that I have natural gray highlights and they glisten in the sun. See, that tells you a little bit about me. I also love audience participation. Since this is a video, how can you do that? At the end of this video, I'll give you the opportunity to connect with me. Go and do that, and then tell me what you thought about this video. That would be amazing. So let's move on. So what is self-doubt? Self-doubt by definition is a lack of confidence in oneself and one's abilities. In other words, when you doubt yourself, you don't feel confident in what you're trying to accomplish or do. And that's a big problem for an entrepreneur who's running their own business. Self-doubt is that little voice in the back of your head that constantly tells you that you're not going to reach your goals, that you're not doing things right, and that you should just stop right now since you're not accomplishing anything anyway. It's a way to protect ourselves from disappointment. When we set the bar low and don't expect to do well, we won't be disappointed when we don't reach our lofty goals. Or even worse, it's what makes us give up before we even start, while convincing us that quitting is actually in our best interest. Sadly, that doesn't push us to go further, reach higher, and get more done. Instead, that little voice of self-doubt keeps us in a place where we're comfortable. It keeps us at a level where we're going to do the bare minimum to stay where we're at. And I don't have to tell you, and this doesn't allow for much growth no matter what area of your life you're dealing with, be it your personal life, your business, your job, your relationships, your hobbies, or anything else. Instead, growth and success occur when we step outside of that comfort zone, do the stuff that scares us, and stretch ourselves to do more than we thought we were capable of. But when we let self-doubt get the better of us, day in and day out, that's not going to happen. And that can have some detrimental effects on all aspects of our lives. It's normal to want to grow and better yourself. Not being able to do so because of self-doubt can send you down a spiral of feeling worthless, getting depressed, and as a result, even more self-doubt since you are continually proving yourself right. It's a vicious cycle and it takes some time and effort to break it. And break it you can. Before we dive into how to eliminate self-doubt, let's talk in more detail about why we doubt ourselves and get to the root of things. Let's take a look at how self-doubt can have a negative effect on every aspect of your life. Self-doubt can have a profound negative effect on your personal life. It can keep you from meeting new people that will enrich your life. It can keep you from deepening relationships and friendships because you are afraid to open up. Relationships are two-way streets. You need to be open, vulnerable, and go out there and communicate. If you are afraid to mess up or get turned down, you risk missing out on new friends or a significant other. Confidence is contagious, and we're attracted to people that seem to know what they are doing and who are putting themselves out there. Self-doubt keeps us from developing that self-confidence and the chance of making connections and building relationships with those around us. Self-doubt can even affect your health. Lack of confidence and happiness can lead to anything from depression to anxiety, and with it, high blood pressure, which isn't good for your heart health, for example. Doubting yourself can also negatively impact your career and your livelihood. Who do you think is more likely to get the new job or the promotion? The person who presents themselves in a confident and self-assured manner, or the doubter? Who closes the deal? The confident business owner or the one who doubts? Your dream client will also respond to a confident person. When you are confident, you can make more money because you deserve to, and that can have a huge impact on your family. When you're confident and the money is flowing in, you can stop struggling to pay the bills each month. You can stop settling for what you can afford and get what you really want. You can take a vacation. Instead, self-doubt has you living frugally, cutting corners where you can, and staying up at night worrying about money. That doesn't sound like a good life, does it? To recap, self-doubt makes you feel less confident in your abilities to accomplish things, and that can have quite the negative effect on every aspect of your life. But thankfully, the reverse is true as well. As you start to get things done, your confidence goes up and your self-doubt goes down. Before we dig deeper into how we can break out of this vicious cycle of self-doubt, let's take a closer look at what causes self-doubt in the first place. Why do we doubt ourselves? There are a lot of different reasons why we may doubt ourselves. Some may seem valid, others not so much. In either case, we don't stand a chance of overcoming these self-doubts if we don't acknowledge them first, and then come up with a plan for overcoming them. Let's start by taking a look at 8 common reasons why we doubt ourselves. We don't have the know-how. Self-doubt can be caused by not knowing everything there is to know about a job, a task, or a field. It would be great if we could know it all. Chances are that's not going to happen, and the doubt starts to creep up. You may be thinking about different scenarios that you just don't feel prepared for, or you're thinking about all the people you know who you think would be much better qualified. It's very normal to doubt yourself. What you do about it is what counts. And here's the important information to take away. Everyone doubts their skills and know-how. Some are just better at hiding those doubts and doing it anyway than others. We don't know what to expect. Another big reason for self-doubt to creep up is fear of the unknown. When you're meeting a new person or client for the first time, you cannot possibly know everything about them. There are a lot of unknowns, and that can make us uncomfortable or even fearful. And that fear turns into self-doubt. If we don't think we can do it and don't put ourselves out there, we don't have to face those unknowns. The truth is that there is no possible way to know everything that's going to happen on a job, with a project, or in a relationship. Yeah, we can prepare, but there will always be unknowns. The key is to find a way to know fear and do it anyway. Our past catches up with us. It would be great if we all had perfect lives with no problems or issues. But that's just not the case. We all come with our own history and our own baggage, and some of those past experiences make us doubt ourselves and our abilities. Maybe it's a failed relationship that makes us think we're just not cut out for a long-term commitment like marriage. Maybe it's an incident with a boss or a coworker in a past job that makes us hesitant. Or maybe it's something completely different. The example I can share with you from my past is that I was often told that children should be seen and not heard. It's interesting, right, that story was shared and passed down from my grandfather to myself. He didn't mean for it to, make me afraid to speak in public or have me not do very well in presentations or in meetings with clients. It's just what he grew up with. See, he passed on a story, and from that story, I created a belief about myself. We all have a past, and that past leaves scars. Some are deeper than others, and they can all undermine our self-confidence and lead to self-doubt. Awareness is the first step towards overcoming that doubt, and with it, our bad past, with all its baggage. We've been told we can't do this. We are social creatures, brought up in an incredibly social environment, also known as a family. And from an early age, we've learned to listen to what those around us have to say. In particular, we're paying attention to our parents, parental figures, mentors, teachers, and people of authority. We've learned to listen to them and heed their advice. It's only natural to doubt ourselves and our decisions when one of those people we look up to tells us that we can't do it. Sometimes the advice is sound, sometimes it's self-serving. The key is to learn the difference and realize that part of growing up involves trying things even when our elders advise against it. They aren't always right. So here's one. As a kid, I was notorious for sticking knives into electrical outlets. Obviously, my mother would tell me to stop doing it or I can't do that anymore. And was she correct? Yes, absolutely, because I would hurt myself. However, some of the other stories that I was told or was passed down to me, just didn't serve. For example, I was horrible at math. Was I really that bad at it? No. However, it was more difficult for me, sure. That didn't mean that I needed any special treatment. It just meant that I needed to try a little harder and take more time on my math problems. Again, our elders don't intend for this to affect us in the long term. They don't know any better, and they're not always right. We are fearful. Sometimes we're just plain scared. We're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid to mess up, and we're afraid to find out that we aren't good enough. Fear is a strong motivator, and in this case, fear causes self-doubt and motivates inaction. So we don't apply for that business grant. We don't do those marketing videos on Facebook, those Facebook Lives. We don't go to networking events and deliver a killer elevator pitch. We don't talk to our dream client, all for fear of being let down. Guess what? When we let that fear rule us, we lose any chance we had for positive change. Isn't it worth doing something despite the fear if we have a chance of getting what we really want? We lack self-esteem. We already talked about how self-doubt is a lack of confidence in our ability to get something done. It's also closely related to a lack of self-esteem. The two usually go hand in hand. We don't think we're good enough and we don't think we have what it takes. Lack of self-esteem and lack of confidence. The end result is a double dose of self-doubt. The good news is that as you work on banishing self-doubt, your self-esteem will go up and vice versa. And that self-esteem will help you banish more self-doubt. It's a self-propelling cycle. All you need to do is get the ball rolling. We don't think we're good enough yet. Another big issue that causes self-doubt is thinking that we don't know enough yet, or that we aren't experienced enough yet for a task, a job, or a position. That's a very normal feeling, and to be honest, chances are when you take a new job or try something new that you're not good at it, you haven't tried it before, you haven't done it before, and you are lacking that experience. It's also normal to doubt you can do it. The important part is to do it anyways. Get some experience under your belt and get better at what you're doing. Think back to the first few weeks of being a business owner. Chances are that it was hard and overwhelming and that you didn't know how to do half the stuff you were suddenly responsible for. And you made it through those stressful first few weeks. You got better at it and eventually it became routine, something you could do in your sleep. The same goes for learning how to drive a car or your favorite hobby. It takes time and it's okay to do stuff long before you know everything there is to know. We're more comfortable where we're at right now. The next reason for self-doubt is closely related to the last one. Let's go back to the new job example. Yes, in the beginning it was hard and challenging. There was much you didn't know and a lot you had to figure out. Now though, that same job has become routine. It's fairly easy and you know what to do. You're comfortable doing what you're doing, and that may be what's keeping you from hiring or asking for help or talking to your dream client. You're using self-doubt as an excuse to keep you comfortable. You have to make a choice. Will you stay comfortable where you're at, or are you ready to get a bit uncomfortable? Face your fears and face the unknown. As nice as it is to stay comfortable, it'll eventually get boring. Let's go back to that last example. I mentioned that sometimes we can have lots of great feedback, plenty of happy customers emailing us all week long, for example, with only one bad egg in the bunch. And guess what we focus on? The negative. Nope, that's not right. Here's another powerful strategy for you to try. This works particularly well whenever you're feeling that you're not good enough. Instead of focusing on yourself and your level of expertise, or lack thereof, focus instead on who you are helping. How would what you're thinking of doing help out others? Let's say you've been toying with the idea of teaching a class on keeping a personal budget. You've been budgeting for a while and used it as a tool to help you get out of debt. But you're no Dave Ramsey. So what business do you have teaching this? Here's the thing. Dave Ramsey isn't for everyone, and you may be reaching people that have never heard of him. But they desperately need your help to get their personal finances under control. You're doing them a disservice by not teaching the class. Focus on the clients or students you'll be helping with your class, or whatever it is you're thinking of doing. Think about the difference you'll make in their lives. Focus on that, and your self-doubt will start to melt away. Try it. It works. I'll let you in on a secret. You don't have to go at it alone. It's hard and scary to start a new venture or business or a new chapter in your life by yourself. Instead of playing lone wolf and figuring out everything the hard way, find a mentor, a mastermind, or a support group, or just a friend or colleague in a similar situation that can become your accountability partner. Having someone else there to talk to encourage and support you, and to answer questions can make a world of difference. Simply not being alone in this helps. And an added bonus, you have someone there with you to tell you you're nuts when self-doubt starts to rear its ugly head. These people can be your very own personal cheerleaders that will lift you up and boost your confidence. And with that, you may be ready to tackle some projects, tasks, and challenges that previously you thought were unattainable. Create a feel-good file. Here's a cold, hard truth. We all have bad days. We all have days when we doubt everything we do and are ready to throw in the towel. We have them as parents, we have them in our jobs, we have them in our marriage, and we have them as business owners. It happens, and it's part of life. The key is to get out of that funk as quickly as possible, boost our confidence, and get back to work. And there's a sneaky little trick to help us do just that. I call it the feel-good file. This can be a shoebox, a jar, a special folder on your computer. It doesn't matter where you keep it. Just set it up so it's there when you have one of those days. In this file or box, or wherever you want to put this, it fills you with pride and confidence. That's everything that you want to go in there. It could be the picture your daughter drew of the two of you. It could be the email you got from your boss that praised your work on a project. It could be a heartfelt testimonial or thank you card for a client or customer. It could be a copy of the comment someone left on your social media profile that tugged your heartstrings. It doesn't matter what it is and what's meaningful. It'll be different for what's meaningful to me and what's meaningful to you. It doesn't matter as long as it's meaningful. But start collecting these little mementos or moments when you felt so proud and confident that you thought you could reach the moon. Stick them in a folder or a box and pull them out whenever you feel down, tired, or beaten down. They will remind you of better days, and more importantly, no matter what happened today, what you do matters and that you are making a difference. Is there something in your life right now that can ruin your entire day? Maybe it's getting an email from your child's teacher about lack of focus in class. Maybe it's a nasty comment left on your blog or an email from an irate customer. Or maybe it's just some of the ridiculous things people will post on social media. Oh my gosh. If one little comment or email can send you down a spiral of self-doubt, it's time to weed out that negativity. And if needed, put a gatekeeper in place. Let's say you have a thriving online business and you get plenty of notes from happy customers all week long. Those are great things to stick into your feel-good file, by the way. But then you get that one nasty email from an irate customer that ruins your entire day and makes you second guess everything you do. If that's you, find someone to filter that email for you. Hire a VA, get an intern, or simply have a spouse or friend deal with email for you. Have them handle it and only forward the good stuff to you. Yes, if there's a serious issue, you're going to want to know about it. You can have your assistant do that. But if it's a simple matter of someone else having a bad day and letting it out on you and your skin isn't thick enough to handle it, find someone else to deal with it to keep your own self-doubt at bay. Setbacks are going to happen. Let's just get real about that. And so will distractions. Life likes to throw curveballs, and there isn't anything we can do about it. But we do have control about how we react to temporary setbacks and distractions. The first thing I want you to realize is that they are just that, temporary. Acknowledge them and then move on. Keep going and don't allow them to fuel your self-doubt. Instead, use it as a challenge to push harder and go further. Let's go back to that last example. I mentioned that sometimes we can have lots of great feedback. Plenty of happy customers emailing us all week long, for example, with only one bad egg in that bunch. And guess what we focus on? Yep, the negative. And we allow it to color everything else we've accomplished. That has to stop. Instead of always focusing on the negative, make it a habit to focus on the good stuff. It's not going to be easy, and it's not something that comes natural to most, but with a little effort, it can be done. Every time you focus on that bad stuff, stop yourself and force yourself to focus on the good stuff instead. After a while, it will become a habit that will boost your self-confidence and break the cycle of self-doubt. The next tip is similar to the last one, but this time we're looking at the flip side. Learn to recognize when you start to doubt yourself. Whenever you start to second guess yourself or find yourself shying away from something new, different, or challenging, ask yourself if it's a case of self-doubt. If so, start by validating the feeling. Yes, you are doubting yourself and you aren't feeling confident. Then start to use one of the strategies I've shared with you and stop it in its tracks right away. Just as being confident and doing stuff even when you're scared is a habit, giving into self-doubt is a habit. In this case, a bad habit. And it's time you start to break it. And you do that by recognizing it for what it is each time you can and then doing something about it. Keep at it, and before you know it, your self-doubt will go down while your confidence in yourself and your abilities goes up. Keeping a journal is a great way to force yourself to reflect on what you're doing and what you have accomplished. What does this have to do with self-doubt? The journal will help you pinpoint cases when you're doubting yourself and allowing it to keep you from doing what you really want to do. As you write about your day, you'll dig deeper and learn more about what's motivating your decisions. This alone can be helpful in pinpointing times when you start to doubt yourself. A journal gives you a chance to work through those challenges and mental blocks, but it also does something else. A journal is a personal record of what you're doing and who you are as a person. Even a quick little bullet journal entry reveals a lot about yourself. And more importantly, it allows you to go back and discover how far you've come. When you are starting to doubt yourself or are trying to kick self-doubt to the curb, browse through your journals and take note of the progress you've made in the past weeks, months, and years. You'll realize that challenges are part of life and that there are plenty that seemed insurmountable, and you've tackled them in the past. That will give you the confidence and the boost you need to work through your current doubts and fears. Sometimes our self-doubt is justified. Often it's not. Sometimes it is. When that's the case, it's time to buckle down and get the education, experience, tools, advice, or information you need to take the next step. Go sign up for a class, talk to a mentor, volunteer, do whatever it takes to get better at what you do. With that knowledge and experience under your belt, you're ready for the next chapter in your life, your profession, or your hobby. Last but not least, please remember that nothing is permanent. When you're worried about failing and allowing that fear to stop you from doing what you love, think back to the tip about imagining what's the worst that can happen. Then remember that no matter how bad that may be, feeling rejected, failing, being ridiculed, it's not permanent and it's something you can get through. You probably have evidence that you've gotten through it already. Yes, you will make mistakes. That's okay. It's how we learn and how we get better. Fail fast and fail often to become good at whatever you want to do. And those failures and setbacks are not permanent. When you think about it that way, there really is no reason not to give whatever it is you want to do a try. The lesson I hope you're taking away from this is that self-doubt can be a destructive force in your life that you need to rein in on a regular basis. And to do that, we focused on several different strategies. Remember, the first four will work universally and are where you should start. Then move through the rest, starting with the tips and strategies that speak to you the most. The key and what I want you to take away from this is to pay attention to your feelings, particularly self-doubt and fear. Recognize them for what they are and then do whatever you have to do to rein them in and not allow them to control your life and what you want to do. The great news is that the more you practice and the better you get at not allowing self-doubt to take over, the easier it gets. You get more confidence and try new things, which builds more confidence. Before you know, you're creating a self-propelling cycle of personal success that will make you unstoppable and, more importantly, allow you to live a happy and fulfilled life. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, these are the ways that you can contact me. You can email me, connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn. And if you've noticed with this video, you should have already received a 5-question worksheet that you can use to journal and help you to break through your self-doubt even quicker. If you did not receive that 5-question worksheet, go ahead and go to this link. Yes, you'll get the video that you just watched again. You can go ahead and download it for yourself. And you'll also get the 5-question worksheet. That worksheet is incredibly helpful in supporting you in breaking through your self-doubt and being aware of what's going on for you. This is Destiny with Coaching with Destiny, and thank you for your time.